I'm 90. The 5 things I spent my life chasing that meant nothing in the end. When you are young, life feels like a race you must win. Everyone around you seems to be running towards something: success, money, recognition, love, the perfect life. And you believe that if you run fast enough, if you work hard enough, if you chase the right things long enough, happiness will eventually be waiting for you at the finish line. I believed that too. I'm 90 years old now, and after nearly a century of living, I've had a lot of time to think about the choices I made and the things I spent my life chasing. Some of those things were important, but many of them weren't. In fact, a few of the things I spent decades pursuing turned out to matter far less than I ever imagined. And the strange thing is this: when you are young, nobody tells you that. Society encourages the chase. But very few people stop to ask whether the things we chase are actually worth the cost. So today, I want to share something with you. Not as a lecture, not as advice from someone who did everything right, but as a man who has lived long enough to see which things truly mattered and which ones quietly faded into nothing. When you are in your 20s or 30s, the world feels incredibly loud. Everyone has an opinion about what your life should look like. You should build a successful career. You should make more money. You should be admired. You should prove that you are doing better than the people around you. And whether we realize it or not, we start measuring our lives by those standards. We compare our progress with friends. We compare our homes, our jobs, our relationships. Today, young people compare their lives with millions of strangers on the internet. And suddenly, life begins to feel like a competition. I understand that pressure. I lived it. When I was young, I believed that if I achieved the right things, people would respect me. I believed success would make me feel secure. I believed recognition would bring happiness. But life has a way of teaching lessons slowly. Sometimes it takes decades before you realize what truly mattered and what didn't. One of the biggest things I spent my early life chasing was approval. I wanted people to think well of me. I wanted coworkers to admire me. I wanted neighbors to respect me. I wanted family members to feel proud of me. And there is nothing wrong with wanting to make people proud. But there is a difference between living with integrity and living for approval. For years, many of my decisions were shaped by what I thought others would think. I took certain jobs because they sounded impressive. I bought things because they made me look successful. I worried about how my life appeared from the outside. But something interesting happens as you grow older. You begin to realize that most people are far too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. The approval I spent years chasing wasn't nearly as important as I believed. And when you reach old age, something becomes very clear. The most peaceful life is the one where your choices are guided by your values, not by applause. Another thing I believed would matter forever was status, promotions, job titles, professional recognition. When I was in my 30s and 40s, each promotion felt like a major victory. It meant I was moving forward. It meant I was winning the race. I remember the pride I felt when my title changed. Manager, director, senior something or other. At the time, it felt incredibly important. But let me tell you something about titles. The day you retire, they disappear. The office moves on. Someone else sits at your desk. Your name slowly fades from conversations. And that's not meant to sound sad. It's simply the truth of how life works. Because when the career chapter ends, the things that remain are not your titles. What remains are the people you loved, the memories you created, and the way you treated others along the way. Money is important. Let me say that clearly. It provides security. It provides comfort. It helps you take care of the people you love. But for many years, I believed that more money would eventually solve everything. So I worked longer hours. I accepted extra responsibilities. I postponed vacations. I told myself I was doing it for my family. And to some degree, that was true. But there were moments I missed along the way. Little moments that seemed small at the time. A school event, a family trip, an afternoon that could have been spent with someone I loved. And here is the difficult part. You don't realize the value of those moments until many years later. Money can create opportunities, but it cannot give you back time. And time, more than anything else, is the currency of life. When I was younger, I often waited for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect financial situation, the perfect conditions. I thought careful timing was wisdom, but sometimes it was just fear disguised as patience. There were things I wanted to do, places I wanted to visit, projects I wanted to start, but I kept thinking, maybe next year, maybe when things settle down, maybe when the timing is better. The truth is, life rarely provides perfect conditions, and many opportunities don't come back. Looking back now, I realize something simple. Action creates stories. Waiting often creates regret. When you are young, it can feel like life must follow a schedule. By a certain age, you should have a stable career. By another age, you should have everything figured out. You compare your progress with the people around you, and if you fall behind, it feels like failure. I remember feeling that pressure very clearly. Some friends seemed successful much earlier than I did. Others had families sooner. Some appeared more confident about their direction. For a while, I thought I was behind. But after 90 years of watching life unfold, I can tell you something important. There is no universal timeline. Life moves differently for every person. Some people bloom early, some bloom later. And many of the people who seemed ahead in their 20s ended up completely changing direction later. Life is not a race with one finish line. It is a long journey with many different paths. One of the quiet mistakes many people make is choosing what looks impressive rather than what feels meaningful. I did this more than once. There were decisions I made because they sounded respectable, because they looked successful to others, because they matched what society expected. But sometimes those choices led me further away from the things that actually made me feel fulfilled. It took many years before I realized something simple. External success and internal happiness are not always the same thing. And if you spend too much time pursuing what looks good to others, you may wake up one day feeling strangely disconnected from your own life. After 90 years of life, the list of things that truly matter becomes surprisingly simple. It isn't the size of your house. It isn't your job title. It isn't the opinions of strangers. What remains meaningful are the people you loved, the conversations you had, the kindness you showed, the experiences that made you feel alive. When you grow old, your life begins to look like a collection of moments. And the moments that shine the brightest are rarely the ones you expected when you were young. They are quiet moments, shared laughter, unexpected friendships, simple afternoons with people who matter. Those are the things that stay with you. If you are young, you have something incredibly valuable. Time. Time to choose carefully what deserves your energy. Time to build a life that reflects your values. Time to focus on what truly matters. You will still chase dreams. You will still work hard. And you will still make mistakes. That's part of living. But if there is one thing 90 years of life has taught me, it is this. The things that impress people today may not matter much tomorrow. But the things that make your life meaningful, those are the things that stay with you forever. So choose wisely what you chase. Because one day, when you look back on your life, you may discover that the most important things were never part of the race at all.